Hey everybody, Thomas Joseph here, and today we are tackling a conundrum that you all have asked about, and that is, it's about puff pastry. And today I'm going to share with you an easy hors d'oeuvre that you can make for any special occasion with puff pastry, and a few tricks and tips along the way for success. Today we're making cheese straws, one of my favorite things. They're a really easy thing to make for unexpected guests, or even if you are planning a party, they're really great to have on hand as a snack. So to get started, I have some cheese in front of me. What type of cheese? Well, today I'm using just Parmesan cheese, which you can find at any supermarket. Now, Parmesan cheese is really great for a cheese straw because it's really aged. A lot of the moisture over time has worked its way out of the cheese, so it makes it perfect for a cheese straw because any excess moisture in puff pastry is gonna create something that's chewy, and sometimes if it's underbaked, it can be kind of soggy. So using ingredients that don't have a high amount of moisture in them are really key. Whatever you're making, whether it be savory like these cheese straws today, or if you're making anything sweet. So a quarter of a cup, like I said, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and this is just to add a little bit of spice to your cheese straws. 1/2 teaspoon of ground mustard, and this is Coleman's mustard, an English brand of mustard, and it's really spicy, and it has this wonderful flavor. If you haven't tried dried mustard powder before, I would encourage you to pick up a jar of it because it's so useful in so many different recipes. And then 1/4 teaspoon of coarse kosher salt. Now, we don't need too much salt here because the Parmesan in and of itself has a good amount of salinity to it, so you don't have to add too much salt to this recipe. Now, I'm just gonna whisk these ingredients together, and I'm gonna get my puff pastry out of the refrigerator. So today I'm using regular store-bought puff pastry. And the great thing about that is you can always have it on hand. I like to keep a package of store-bought puff pastry in the freezer, and the day before I need it, I put it into the refrigerator so that it defrosts nice and evenly. It's the best way to defrost puff pastry so that it doesn't split on you or get soggy. And usually puff pastry is sold in 14-ounce sizes. Sometimes some brands go up to a pound. So really what you're looking for here is just one package of puff pastry. Look for a brand that uses all butter, that doesn't have any hydrogenated fats in it, because butter is really gonna give you great flavor, and it also gives you really light and lofty cheese straws in the end. So I'm just dusting this with a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick to my work surface. And depending on which brand you buy, it will come in different shapes, but I need a 12 by 16-inch rectangle to start. So I'm just short of that. So I'm gonna take my rolling pin here and roll this out a little bit to a 12 by 16-inch rectangle. All right. The next thing I need is an egg wash, and I have 1 large egg here and a tablespoon of water, and I'm just gonna whisk this together. The reason why I added a little bit of water to this egg is just to help it break up, and so I get a really light coat on my pastry here. I don't want anything that's too thick and rich. I just need something that will help the cheese adhere to the dough. All right, now using a pastry brush, a thin brush of the egg wash, and you want to go across the entire surface of the dough. And if you work quickly, you can pop these right into the oven. So make sure your oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, take your cheese mixture and sprinkle it on half of the dough. And I'm working with the long side towards me, as you can see. Now, if you didn't want to use Parmesan cheese and you wanted to use a different type of cheese, again, just look for an aged cheese. Any of those Alpine cheeses that are aged are really great and have a really fantastic flavor for a cheese straw. You could also use Pecorino, you could use Grana Padano. That would be really fantastic in these cheese straws here. And now what I'm gonna do is take the other side of the dough and fold it on top, creating a book almost. And you just wanna press the dough down, and then give this a really gentle roll. And what this is gonna do is it's going to make sure that all of that cheese is firmly placed in between the layers of the puff pastry, so that when these bake up in the oven, none of the cheese comes out. It stays in your cheese straw. All right, so now the fun part, we get to cut and twist the dough. So I like to use a ruler here, and you're gonna cut these into 1/2-inch pieces. And I like to eyeball it. And you can really make these as thin or as thick as you'd like. These are gonna be nice, kind of long and thin cheese straws, but if you wanted something a little bit thicker, maybe shorter, you could certainly do that. It's really up to you. All right, so now the fun part, we get to twist our cheese straws. So take 2 ends of your dough, and all you're gonna do right on your sheet tray, lined with parchment of course, is give the straws a good twist. And then what I like to do is I take the 2 ends, and you can use floured fingers here, push them down into the pan itself. This will help them keep a nice shape, and they won't kind of unfurl during the baking process. So what you wanna do is repeat the process with all of your straws. And if the dough gets too warm, you can pop these into the refrigerator so that they chill up nicely before baking. But again, they're going into that 400-degree oven, so a really hot oven. That's important when you're making puff pastry, because what it does, like pie dough and biscuits, it takes the layers of cold butter and it puffs up in the oven, creates steam, and that steam creates wonderful leavening that gives you light and delicate cheese straws. So these are going right into the oven. All right, guys, the cheese straws, they've been out of the oven and they've cooled completely, and look at how beautiful they look. Now, if the dough is cold before you put it in the oven, they will retain their shape like this, but puff up nicely, and you'll get that wonderful kind of swirly twirly look to your cheese straws. They're just so amazing, and they taste just as good as they look. I'm gonna use this little end piece that I put in to give it a try. Now, as always, if you have any kitchen conundrums, let us know. That's what we're here for, to help you out. Reach out to us with the hashtag Kitchen Conundrums. And always, enjoy, guys. And as always, guys, click like and subscribe.